Uh, Hello and welcome everyone. This is the second webinar in the series that Urban Update and All India Institute of Local Self-Government is going to organize uh, over, uh, over a couple of weeks and even months as the situation develops. Uh, just to give a short introduction to the subject that we are going to discuss today. Uh, Now it's more or less a cliche to say that every country across the globe and every city for that matter is impacted by COVID-19. The number of deaths and the number of infected persons are slowly becoming a data bank now. It appears that we have slowly learned to live with this virus and learn to live with it for next months and probably a couple of years as well. Uh, it's one day, hopefully, the virus will go away, will stop dying from this infection, uh, which is called COVID 19 SARS 2. But it will certainly leave a very high impact on our lives. And there will be a lot of questions that this pandemic will leave us with. And that would be one crucial aspect will be that this crisis has brought focus upon our preparedness to deal with a crisis of such magnitude. Uh, if we talk about World Health Organization guidelines for every country, it recommends that there should be one doctor at least per thousand population. It also specify number of beds, number of ICU beds, number of ventilators that every country should have per thousand population. Uh, if we look at the situation in India, unfortunately, we do not match any of those criterias. The number of beds per thousand is less than one. In a country of 130 crores of people, we live with just 40,000 active ventilators in the country. So is the case with ICU beds and the number of beds that we have. There's a fascinating story that has unfolded when the World Health Organization in 2019 did a study of 17 years, which is from 2000 to 2017. And the report came out in 2019. And I was going through it and doing some data crunching, and it reveals an amazing picture if we look at it globally. Uh, if we look at the period of 2000 to 2017, in the low income countries, average spending was just $41 and per person, that is in 2017. But in the high income countries, it was about $300,000 per person. So there is a difference of 70 times that a low income country spends on one person and a high income country spends on one person. If we look at the global spending on health in the 17 years, what we witness is that there is the public spending is about 60% on health. It grew at 4.3% a year between 2000 and 2017, but in recent years, it has gone down. From 2010 to 2010, 2000 to 2010, it was 4.9%, which came down to 3.4% in 2010, 2017. So there is a fall of 1.5% in the global expenditure. Now, if you look at Indian figures, it's really disturbing. If we talk about the budgetary allocation on health in 2019, it is just 2.2%. Mind you, it is a budgetary allocation. If we look at the public expenditure on health of the GDP, it is just little over 1%, 1.29% to be precise, and that includes salary of the health workers, including doctor, nurses, paramedics, infrastructure development. So one can imagine how much that leaves us for research and developmental programs in the medical sciences. Now, if we divide the allocation by 130 crores, which is the population of India, the actual allocation per person is less than 500 rupees. So this is not that the situation we are in right now has developed today. There is a history of neglect. Successive governments, post-independence, uh, focused on industry, agriculture, but somewhere two crucial social sectors, that is health and education, somehow were left behind. And that is why we are in such a mess at this point of time. Now a pandemic is here. Of course, we cannot sort out every issue that we have on hand. But the point is, and I was speaking to one of the former health secretary, K. Sujata Rao, and she told me that, look, it's not about, how ad hoc measures will help us. The point is that if you do not have trained staffs, even if you buy ventilators, there are not enough trained staffs to handle them. And you need at least 4 nurses to deal with one ventilator properly. And where do you going to get those trained staff from? Similarly, Indian Medical Association in way back in 2015 had talked about shortage of critical specialists in different fields of medicine. If we look at private and public very shortly, very briefly now, 70% of the market is controlled by the private sector, 30% roughly is by the public sector, government hospitals. And it is now a normal practice that if you go to a private sector hospital, there is, if you're insured, there is overdiagnosis, overtreating, and if you go to a government hospital, there is undertreatment and underdiagnosis. So it's what we are looking also at is the profit over patients. So in that situation, where are we right now? What is the solution? Cities are facing health crisis. How do we fix the situation? How do we deal with pandemics now, which is right in front of us, and in the future? How do we take help of technology, innovations, sharing practices in the cities? What all that we need to do to actually bridge those gaps, what we are calling today as fixing the system. We have a very eminent panel with us today. We have Ravi Ranjan Guru, Deputy Director General of All India Institute of Local Self-Government. We have Dr. M. Wali. He is a cardiologist, senior consultant at Sir Gangaram Hospital. He is a Padma awardee, awarded in 2007, youngest honorary physician to former presidents of India. 3 presidents. He has the honor of serving 3 presidents of India. We have Dr. Professor Sneha Palnitkar joining us from Mumbai. She has a very keen interest in urban issues, especially sanitation and all. We have Dr. Prakash Tare, who is joining us live from Indore. He is an ENT specialist, a surgeon, and Indore being the hotbed right now in Madhya Pradesh, he would be giving us a perspective on that as well. And we will also be joined by Dr. Rajiv Sharma very shortly. So I'll first hand it over to Mr. Ravi Ranjan Guru for his opening remarks. Mr. Guru.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hi.
So this is Ravi from All India Institute of Local Self-Government. And first of all, I would like to thank all of you for joining this webinar. This is second in row. organized by All India Institute of Local Self-Government, along with UCLG, ASPEC, and Urban Update team. And thanks to Dhananjay ji for moderating this entire series. I would like to welcome all of you for this webinar series. I think the background tone has been set by the Dhananjay ji very well for today's webinar. And no doubt today the entire world is passing through the toughest phase, and we have never seen such situation even after World War II. The entire world is facing pandemic of COVID-19. Just to give you today is the global confirmed cases. I think surpassed 3 million on Monday, and as the US almost crossed 1 million mark. India is also almost 32,000 cases has been registered, and more than 1,000 has been died so far because of this coronavirus. No doubt, across the globe, the national government have not seen such serious emergency. COVID-19 has made its way to almost every corner, and this is not only the health crisis. This is also affecting the social, economic, and political situation across the globe. In fact, India is also not behind. And if you look at some of the experts, which says that India, with the country of more than 1.3 billion people, likely has many more cases than the conservative numbers currently being reported, which is always coming up in all the media and the news channel. As compared to many developed nations, there is if you see the comparative figures, it seems a better position. I think because of the government decision of having the lockdown for first phase of 21 days, and then subsequently they have gone for another 19 days lockdown till 3rd May. Though India has slowed down the spread by imposing the country-wise lockdown since 25th of March till 3rd of May. And I think the question here is that what will happen when this lockdown is over? Will India face other challenges? How India will respond to this? And I mean, with the present health infrastructure. I was reading some of the article, and I saw that as per the very famous virologist Jacob John, he says that India has not yet established the 21st century health management system in the country. In fact, the public health system is vastly uneven. I think metro cities is still in better position, but if you go to the rural areas and the remote areas, situation is really uneven. And the existing hospital can be easily overwhelmed by a sudden spike in admission. It is not clear whether there are ample supplies of masks, gloves, drugs, and ventilators. That's always coming into the challenging figures. No doubt, the government has understood these challenges and upcoming risks due to the pandemic. And also, it would be near impossible for India to force its citizen into the mass quarantine and hospitalize people in numbers like China. So I think these challenges and these issues has been understood by the government very well. And we have seen that the India responded. If I look into the figure wise, no doubt they have controlled this spread. We see the participation from citizen also is quite good, and the most of the citizen are following the government direction. And if you look at the holistic way, all tiers of government systems are working very hard to manage the situation, putting all their best efforts to develop the temporary health infrastructure across India, developing the quarantine center, providing the necessary medical equipments through the innovation. In fact, we are also doing a lot of innovation through our incubation center. We are providing the lot of support in Gwalior Municipal Corporation through our Gwalior Incubation Center to deal these challenges. And I think this is across the India, it's happening. Till date, the cases are under control. So existing infrastructure is helping to provide the medical facility. But I agree with the Dhananjay ji that if the cases are gone, then what will happen? And it seems that the Indian solution, where in prompt detection and effective trials ensure that the milder infections are taken care at home, and hospital admission are reserved strictly for critical patients. Also recommended our emergency operations centers at the central and the state level, with the special focus on a state with the weaker and weaker health system. And that's the reason I guess we are seeing some positive cases in India. We can take the example of Goa, Kerala, Bhilwara, Agra. These are the various models that we are they have been talked about, and I must congratulate them also that the way they have responded and controlled the situation at the moment. Many ULBs, however, there are many hotspots still, and I think today we have a speakers from Indore and Maharashtra, which is once again at the present. They can talk about more about how to control that in today's webinar. No doubt the role of local communities and local government becomes most important in responding to such a crisis. Many corporations in India and abroad have devised new ways to work hand in hand with communities to build trust, spread authentic information on the disease, precaution, and support resilience and mental health. Today we see a control over the spread as compared to other developed countries, and seems government is also working very effective, and I'm sure that this pandemic will be over soon. However, many things have been and many things have to learn from this, and the most important thing which I felt and which I feel that we need to have a priority to improve and extend our health infrastructure across the state, city, and the rural areas. I totally agree with that, Dhananjay, that the kind of GDP which we are putting at presently as compared to other countries are much lower, and I think and these sector has to be in the top priority once this pandemic is over. So I think there are many questions, and I'm sure that today's experts will talk about, and they can give us more insight, ideas, and views and planning for the government. So thank you everyone, and for joining this webinar, and I would be very happy to answer your question and queries, though I am not very expert on this subject, but still, based on the experience and based on the LSG's work profile, we can try to answer your questions. So thank you once again, and stay safe. Thank you. Over to you, Dhananjay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raviranjan Guru, for your opening remarks. Before I to our next panelist, a couple of announcements. We are also joined by Mr. Basudev Bhapatra from Bhubaneswar. He is a senior journalist, he is a documentarian, and he is he has an active social life and has very strong points on diseases, hunger, and other issues that confronts this society. I will ask him to speak later in the program. We are streaming also live on Facebook, so if you haven't got a seat here because of the limitations, then you can go to our Facebook page. Just log into your Facebook page and go to Urban Update Mag. You can leave your questions for our panelists. Once the panel discussion is over, we will ask them, please do write your name and the question is directed to. So now let me invite Mr. Prakash Tare. He is right now in Indore, to his perspective, to listen to his perspective, what exactly is ailing the health system in our cities, what can be the solution in future, what is that the government needs to do. And also, I'm sure he would like to talk about Indore because he is practicing there and based there. Over to you, Mr. Prakash Tare.
Hello.
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you and good morning. You hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Yes. Thank you. Good morning. Happy to see you. I am Dr. Prakash Tare from Indore. It's a nation #1 cleanest city of Indore. a city of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. It is the #1 cleanest city in this nation of the nation India. Now, since last 3-4 months, the things are just reverse. Now, #1 in COVID-19 epidemic. Now today in MP, total 2,619 cases, new 100 cases, total death 133 and new 10 days. This is the position, latest today's position. And Indore position, we have 1485 cases, new cases only 19, total death 68 and new deaths 3, only 3. Originally 55% cases are positive, but now it is going to be reduced and it is about 6% now. It is clear that why the cases in Indore are going to be increased in the initial months, February, March and April. One more important factor I want to explain you, that the virus, the virulent strain, I think the virulent strain working havoc in the city, which has engaged us in the coronavirus hot in Indore and MP. A COVID-19 killed 57 people in MP. We have sent the samples to the National Institute of Virology to detect the strain of the virus, what type of virus is. Strain is more virulent in Indore belt. The facts are due to for increase of cases. First is initially at arrival points of the city, that is airport, railway station, etc., COVID-19 patient examination and quarantine process is improper, and quarantine process only detected by the measuring the temperature of the patient. In that cases, so many asymptomatic positive cases occur. Second, public initially resisted the screening and testing and even beaten medical teams. This is the second drawback of increase of the cases of COVID patient in city. Third, less number of testing kits and facilities. This also causes the increase of cases in Indore. Second, government lockdown is failed in many areas of this city. Some community spread due to Jamati and particular localities, and they are doing the business in that area. They also cause the increase of the cases in Indore. Sometimes we have find the misuse of lockdown by government servants. They may also cause the increase of cases. Some of the government personnel also break the lockdown as they use their passes to go outside city and came into the city. So they also causes the increase of the cases, COVID cases. Third, 6 number, unavailability of PPE kits to medical staff. and health worker and others. This causes fear to the medical duties of many government and private medical specialties. There are so many other things. They also came across to the country that some peoples, they try to get together. They are not believe on the government's law and order. Government strategy, our government, local government try to fulfill this case. They have started so many hospitals. They categorize the hospital according to the patient's condition into red zone, red hospital, yellow hospital, and green hospitals. Red hospital is totally for the COVID positive cases. They open 4-5 red hospitals for totally positive cases with all facilities, ventilator, and all well equipped instruments and specialists. Rest quarantine patient, the patient COVID positive contact patients, they are isolated and treated in yellow hospitals. We have 7-8 yellow hospitals, yellow titled hospital, where they get stayed and treated completely, and after checking, if they find COVID positive, they are shifted to the red hospital. Rest green hospitals. In green hospitals, rest of the patients, diabetic, heart, kidney, etc., other normal patients are treated in the green hospitals, green labeled hospital. This all, we have again the same case. We have less GDP on the medical and health. Government has no such. Third thing and last thing, government has not such plan or for such types of epidemic or endemic to treat these cases or to face this type of cases in the city. So I am recommending for government and other people to prepare or make a subject or a for such endemic and endemic cases to treat. Thank you. Over to.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tare, for your perspective on the entire issue. I'm sure all the participants and people who are attending this webinar must have been helpful for them to understand the issue. Moving on, now let me invite Dr. Sneha Palnitkar to share her perspective. She's right now in Mumbai, obviously the biggest hotspot of COVID-19 in India. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you need to unmute, please. Ma'am, no, you have to unmute, ma'am. Unmute yourself first. Hello, ma'am, can you hear me? Okay, Pratik, please call Dr. Sneha Palnitkar and sort it out. So let me now go to Dr. Rajiv Sharma, who is joining us from New Delhi. Dr. Rajiv Sharma.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Dhananjay ji. It is a wonderful explanation by you and Dr. Tare of the present situation. Now, we know that the present situation is quite alarming in the country, and none of us ever expected that this problem will happen in our country or in the world. But now we have faced it, and there are many issues which have come to our knowledge, as you rightly were mentioning in your introduction, that a lot of these problems are not from today's time. These are the historically, India has not been looking after the healthcare structure as much probably we should have in last so many years. But look at the positive points also, that India presently has a very strong leadership, and in this leadership, it is the response of the government at every level, response of the media at every level, which was very, very important at this time. People who were struck up in the at homes, lockdown, in isolation, the media was a very great source of information to whole of the population. Now, when we see the present problem, the problem came without any prior notice, but has been handled very well. People also imagine this 1.3 plus billion population was nowhere at such large level the people had the social unrest. So that is a good part of the Indian population. Now the India may be having the less infrastructure, but I strongly feel that the soft part of Indian population and Indian subcontinent is much, much better. Look at it, that how our doctors responded very well. Look at it, how our healthcare workers responded to the call of this emergency and put their life at risk, but kept on working for the country and the population. I think that the topic that you had was the how the system can be improved with time and what is the problem now. My fellow colleagues have explained very well that what are the shortcomings at the moment. Now, what is going to happen with time, and what country should be imagining for future, is a very important aspect. And that probably the first part in that is that successive governments from now onwards will have to imagine that such calamities can come up. They have been coming like floods, they have been coming like some infections, they have been coming like the spread of the various diseases, but never at this level. So this should be a time when our country is able to stand up and be sure that we are prepared for future. And in that preparedness, I'm sure that our able government and the population will work towards it. The most important from a medical point of view, I'll say, is that infrastructure needs to be developed, and people need to understand in India, the medical comorbidities. Imagine, Dhananjay ji, in India, or anywhere in the world, the maximum fatality, maximum mortality has been in the elderly population. Why? Because they had the comorbid conditions. Comorbid conditions like diabetes, hypertension, other infections, weak chest, weak immunity. So probably the population level, we have to understand that we have to have a strong population, physically strong population, by improving the immunity with us, and immunity not by the medicines, but by the efforts of right kind of the nutrition, right kind of the exercises in general, prevent another important thing that Indian population will learn with time is the social distancing, which has been a major issue with us. At government level, the most important will be the how to improve the medical infrastructure. And when we say medical infrastructure, it includes the hospitals. Of course, in last few years, we have had several new All India Institute of Medical Sciences have come up. The government will have to ensure that these hospitals are not just the buildings, but the people working in there, the infrastructure, the equipments are also world class. The training is world class, like we have in All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi. I've been there for 10 years, and this is the institute which caters to the thousands of people in a day, but every patient is treated very well. Peer pressure is a lot. So government will have to probably imbibe this kind of culture in every All India Institute of Medical Sciences, which is made and which will be made in time to come more and more. The second improvement in the infrastructure could be, or in the government level could be, the making the better primary healthcare centers. Because if the primary healthcare centers are good, it is far more easier and better to take care of the small problem when it is starting, the immunity when it is low, the very small issues like diabetes, like the hypertension, which are very small issues to be treated with our able physicians and doctors. At the government level, the second will be the improving the manufacturing of the various, like the Dr. Ravi Ranjan mentioned about the ventilators. Now, ventilators can be made in India very well. The Indian engineers are far more competent than many other trained workers abroad or even in China. So this could be a period of opportunity for our country, which we have missed out for last many years, many decades actually. We can, our population is very intelligent. When we go outside, we know when we attend medical meetings abroad, we know that our voices are heard and our comments are accepted. Now, when we have this soft skill, the government has to make best use of this soft skill and ensure that they are supported very well. A panel of the good minds can be created and must have been created at the government level, and they should be given the advices which they are giving, I'm sure, to the and the Prime Minister. Manufacturing of PPE is not very big. It can be done very well in our country. We can be the biggest manufacturers of not just the healthcare products, but also so many other products. If we wake up to the call, all of the world is looking at India, places like Vietnam, places like Korea, because they want to move away from China for so many reasons. But China still is the king because they are having the excellent infrastructure. I've been to several cities of the China. Their infrastructure, even in a small city, is at the level of what we have in USA. So the point, the call of the day is to the government and to the population in general, is that we take it as a challenge, we take it as an opportunity. We have been able to defeat this difficult pandemic to some extent. We have not had such a massive death rate as has been in many other countries. But that is because, one, that our healthcare workers responded in time, our population is reasonably disciplined. They listen. They when it is forced on them, they accept it, and that's how this large population accepted to be in the lockdown for over a month, which was a very big thing in India. So once all these things are looked after, the manufacturing part is looked after in time to come. The hospitals are made better. The hospitals of tertiary care, like All India Institute of Medical Sciences, not just in Delhi, but in not just only the capital of the every state, but in multiple places. And the biggest thing will be the development at the small grassroots level, the villages, which I'm sure that the government is looking at it at these days, like we hear that the electricity is being supplied to almost every village. The gas connection is to the weakest section of the city. So these are the very good points which will have a huge improvement in the country. and this country has already gained a huge respect in last few years in the world. And I think that if we keep working in the same direction with time, I'm sure that we will not only win the problems in time to come, but also we'll have a huge reputation in the world. Imagine that how many of our workers, how many of our healthcare workers, the nurses, technicians, doctors are working in the developed countries, and they are considered the best quality healthcare workers. So if we have the topmost healthcare institutions within India, I'm sure that majority of them will be staying in India, will be looking after. We had a huge number of medical tourism in this country. Now, anywhere you see the Africa, you see the Gulf countries, even the people, places like USA and Canada, we have been having patients coming to us for various high-end surgeries. Now, why they come to India? Why not so much to our neighboring countries? Because Indian surgeons, Indian doctors, Indian infrastructure has had a huge reputation in the world, and people accept it. Now it is the time that the government realizes that the medical fraternity is the topmost with us. The engineers are topmost with us with products of places like IIT, who are all over the world doing the great job. Now government has to make use of these good minds, make use of this good population which we have. In spite of so much of problem, imagine a small worker who was daily wager has not been provided much of the food maybe, but nowhere we hear so much of unrest that the huge population is against the government. Now that is a great part of our population. We are very accepting population. We are disciplined population when we are asked to. Now this population can be guided in a very good way. The infrastructure can be done in the best possible way. We know that so many good things are happening in this country, and I wish that in time to come, with the initiatives like the media is taking, like you are taking right now, the things will be far more improved in decades to come. But it's a long fight, and we all have to be ready for this difficult fight, which we are well equipped. With time to come, the government will also have to think about how to increase the healthcare workers numbers. The qualified doctor takes a lot of time to be prepared, to be experienced enough to take care of the difficult problems. You are rightly mentioning, Dr. Tare mentioned very rightly that ventilators could be there. You mentioned very rightly that ventilators could be there, but who will be using that ventilator? Now, our nurses who are paid not a huge amount, but they are very experienced, very dedicated. I see it in my hospital, how dedicated they are. They know every small thing. Now, if such population is guided in the right way, the infrastructure is prepared for this good population, and a general belief in ourselves that yes, we can do it, and our government is with us. Now that is the thing which will take us ahead, and that is what will be the what is the call of the day, and I'm sure that this will happen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for perspective and looking at the brighter side of the picture. Of course, as you mentioned, that there are comorbid situations that exist in India. We are called global capital of diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular, tuberculosis in particular. And we need to be very careful when dealing with a pandemic-like situation, but certainly not ignore the patients who need treatment for all these diseases, because they also create a lot of problems. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you again with questions. Now, I think the link with Dr. Sneha Palnitkar has been sorted out, so we'll cross over to her. Ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, good morning to all of you. I'm Dr. Sneha Palnitkar from All India Institute of Local Self Government, Mumbai. Now, most of earlier panelists have dealt several issues, and we all must be knowing that all the cities, all the governments, all the local governments, in fact, we all got caught in all this unprepared in many ways. And so currently, actually, if we see most of the governments as well as most of the cities, in fact, they are currently, studying, the lacunas also and taking immediate and, the quick actions of all the issues which were referred earlier, by my both earlier two panelists. I think these issues are more or less common, in the cities or, in the state also. Only the intensity differs, city-wise. I am coming from Maharashtra and Mumbai city, which is, some of the districts in Maharashtra and Mumbai city, they are a hotspot, in the country. But if we take it, the issues which were referred earlier, I think something similar issues, they are also, referred in the city like Mumbai. Now if you say, can I have the presentation?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. We'll just put it up.
Yeah.
We'll just put it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's up. Yeah.
Yeah. Go to the third slide. You can put it, to the to the slideshow also. See, earlier all speakers also, they spoke about, the public health infrastructure. And if you see, in all the cities and the state, particularly having, the status, of the existing infrastructure, we really require a lot of things, to be done, for strengthening, the existing infrastructure. Also sufficient, sort of the protective gears, for a medical fraternity, as well as, the frontline staff is also required in most of the, cities, what we have seen. Similarly, sort of the budgets. I think this question was dealt, in the introductory presentation about the budget, and the increase in the budget for health infrastructure altogether. I think that also requires, to be looked into. And special training to doctor, nurses, and, the paramedics, that is also essential. Because, my experience, my interaction with some of the doctors, in Mumbai, it also, sort of reflected, sort of giving a training, to the support staff for even putting, the protective gears. It was also, sort of the one of the angles, for a training, to the particularly support staff. So I think, the public health infrastructure, strengthening the infrastructure, that's a major issue also, which not, for an existing situation, but if we look, a sort of, the future, also, I think that's what, is a needed. Then, if we come down, go to the next slide. Yeah. Then if you see, some of the new things which are coming, in fact, I can quote the example from Mumbai actually, that, some of the smart OPDs, they have come, particularly in the big cities like Mumbai. And in fact, they were installed, in the cities like, in the hospitals like JJ Hospital and Kama Hospital. And this also innovative thing came because, sort of the patient and, the doctors, and sort of, the connect between them to minimize, that kind of connect. The smart OPDs, they have come in several hospitals. I think this innovative thing has just come, in the last 1 month. And I think that maybe perhaps, sort of the course of action, for even the future activities. Then, sort of the community health infrastructure. If we look, even like a city like Mumbai or even the other cities, Pune or, the major cities, if we see, the community health infrastructure also needs, to be, in fact, improved, strengthened, and with the network of community health workers, health volunteers. And for that, actually, we require a different kind of, training for them. So they become a first respondent, in such cases, in the such, case of, pandemics. And I think that's what is needed, particularly. In fact, Mumbai Corporation, they have, the health posts, in the communities. But I think that also requires, sort of a further strength. A decentralized, a system particularly for of the community network is also essential. Next. This is what, is currently installed, the smart OPDs, and where, the interface, between the patient and, the doctors, it's, sort of a less. So, when we say about, particularly the infections, the connect getting, when the patient, the positive patient, visits, a hospital, and then, sort of a kind of, then sort of the, for, effect, of that on the doctors or, the nurses and all that in hospital. So I think this kind of solution, they are coming. In fact, Ravi Ranjan Guru referred, to the some cities, what innovative things, they are implementing through, I think, the Smart Cities project. And I think this kind of, a smart solutions, for this, sort of to deal with this kind of situations in future, are necessary, particularly in the health sector also. Next. This is another, sort of the smart, which is installed in Mumbai. Next. Yeah. Now, if we see actually the quick response system, which is a required, to be developed, particularly for, the cities, and basically, for developing the database at the city level. That's also, the very essential thing, because, we require a very good, and a effective database system, at the city level to, in fact, plan, the course of action, not on the daily basis, but also, from the future point of view. Similarly, see, ICMR is actually responding very fast, for different, sort of the innovative, something which are being taken, by the cities, there, like, and their response is also important, for a city like India. In fact, their response, for a different, kind of actually, sort of the things, which we require, sort of the approvals, from them. I think that is also one of the necessary factor. And similarly, it should teach us, I think somebody referred also earlier, that the manufacturing units, and it's a, sort of a lot of scope, particularly for developing, a infrastructure by the manufacturing units in our country. And I think this is also, this throws a different, kind of challenge, not for an existing situation, but also, for our future, sort of the range of activities. Next. Even, sort of, if you see these see, these are the new things, I think none of us have experienced, earlier, in our lifetime, this kind of lockdowns. Then similarly, transportation, and these different, kind of all the situations, none of us have faced, this earlier, in our life. And I think there also, the require a orientation for them to cope up with such situations, why, it is necessary, what is meant by social distancing, why it should be followed. And I think this is also necessary, to look into the matter. Then even the or a sort of a, the interface, between the different authorities. Actually, if you take it, the local governments, if you take public health authorities, if you take, the other, the police, then, the all representatives of, public and private hospitals. And, when we involve them, I think a good, sort of a communication is necessary with all these, because these all, sort of the stakeholders, they are playing a major role in city, in the whole mitigation process, as well as, the controlling the whole situation. And I think that, connect also is important. Similarly, a technology, a good, sort of the more technology can be used, particularly for a communication, then, sort of the telemedicine, then, we have the regular or, the intensive, sort of the medical care. I think the technology can be used, for that. These things are happening, in fact, in city like Mumbai, because every day we are getting, this kind of, sort of the messages through social media for, increased use of this kind of technologies in the big cities. And skill development at every level, is necessary, because, like, it was mentioned earlier also that, a kind of personnel require, to handle ventilator, in the hospital. I think a skill development in the healthcare, sector, this is also a very important, and it also is a sort of a new, kind of challenge, for a skill development, and different skills are needed, different, for a different, stakeholders in such kind of situations at the state level as well as, at the city level. Next. Yeah, then similarly, if we see, yeah, next slide. Yeah, So I think, in brief, because I have not dealt the issues which were dealt, by the earlier, two speakers who, in fact, depicted, the whole entire scenario currently, at the country level or at the, certain city level. But, sort of, in fact, I really, like the idea of, I think in those city of giving classification, for a color code, for even hospitals, because we have, the districts, or zones, for a color coding. But I think these hospitals particularly, or given, the color code, I think this is some of the good idea which, the some other cities also can learn, from the other cities. And I think this is what brief, I want to say, at this juncture. And any, the questions coming in that direction, I like to take up. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Palitkar, for the presentation and putting things in black and white, what needs to be done from smart OPDs to communication, innovation, use of technology and all. Certainly, we'll come back to you with the questions later. Now it's time to invite Mr. Basudev Patra. Please, sir, go ahead. Hello.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, Dhananjay and all other panelists actually here in this webinar. So I do not have, like much knowledge or exposure about the national scenario, though I know a little bit of it. But I know how in this Odisha government led by Mr. Naveen Patnaik is dealing with the COVID-19 situation and is, like working to protect the lives of people in the state. So, like in Odisha, actually, the situation is like a bit of relief, and the total number of positive cases being at 128 till last night, and only one deceased in the state. So, like it's not as panicking as in many other states of India, and like it's more a panic beyond India actually in other countries of the world. So in Odisha, actually, the why the like actions taken by Naveen Patnaik government bears some hope about dealing with a pandemic, a situation of pandemic like COVID-19, is that this government, like in Odisha, actually, we got the first case in March 15. A man who had a travel history to Italy and was here in Bhubaneswar and he was detected positive. So that was the first case. Of course, you shouldn't neglect any time saying it's only case or first case, because every epidemic starts with one only. So that's also was a serious thing, and the government, aptly took decision and aptly, like took it very seriously and started its actions and initiated all actions to, like stop spreading of the disease in communities or in a very massive manner. So the first thing is, like one thing the Odisha government had with it is the experience of dealing with disasters like the severe cyclones, like over these years, like from Philin, Hudhud to the last, Fani in the summer season. So it is well equipped with sufficient knowledge and at least the basic infrastructure to deal with a situation of natural disaster like super cyclones and also of floods and droughts. So that actually helped a lot to the state. The first thing is because, I have seen the situation of Odisha in 1999 when the super cyclone hit Odisha, and it was almost, like in a state of disarray. Nothing was done properly. There was huge casualty. There was huge economic loss, and like the post-disaster situation was very discouraging because like it was very ill managed. You can say. But like when Philin came, we learned something, and like we at least focused on saving lives. Until last Fani also, the state government has been efficiently, like have been very successful. The state government has been very successful in saving lives. by relocating people from coastal areas to different places, to rehabilitation centers, to schools, to cyclone shelters. So these, and gradually over these years, the state government has built an infrastructure to deal with such situations. And now when this COVID-19 actually, the outbreak of COVID-19 happened, and like it, WHO declared it a pandemic, and the state government had something already in place. One is the infrastructure it had built to face situations like cyclones and natural disasters. The other thing is the experience and the institutions it has formed to deal with situation like natural calamity, like you can say OSDMA and other things, Odisha State Mitigation Authority and other institutes. So they also, when this came, and it was when like WHO declared it pandemic, and the state government said big threat in future, it acted immediately, and soon it formed many like committees, like a group of ministers, task forces headed by chief secretary, special communication team, communication strategy, action plan, and everything, because like it had done it earlier during other situations also, other like natural disasters also. So it immediately started action, and like the state was first to start lockdown, to like declare lockdown across the state, just following the day following Honorable Prime Minister's this Janta curfew of March 22. Since March 23, the state government imposed lockdown, and like social distancing being like advocated worldwide, and research organizations say social distancing like could prevent could save us from the spreading of the disease, could stop spreading of the disease, could like the community spreading will not be there. So social distancing, it also like requested people, appealed communities to follow social norms of social distancing, to like obey the guidelines of lockdown. So there were stray cases of violation of guidelines, but still like all over the state, people, even I talked to many tribal people living in interior villages, they like followed all the guidelines. They never ventured out, even they never allowed outsiders to come to their villages. So like, because like they all, even people supported the government steps. Many of the people said, even though they were in trouble getting not getting food and other essential materials, at last they said actually is that because they don't blame the government, they rather say the government is doing it for us only. Though we are in trouble, we need some help to come out of the troubles, but we support all steps of the government, because the government is taking all steps for our safety only, to save us from this disease. So like this was there. The second thing is, like while the lockdown was on, the state government like worked effectively to build necessary infrastructures, like building current quarantine houses in every gram panchayat, training junior doctors to deal with the situation, giving special training to junior doctors of all medical colleges to deal with the situation, to help like come out of the like danger, or they come out of the pandemic like situation. So like it started building infrastructure at panchayat level, even at private medical colleges, quarantine centers, like adequate infrastructure, then adequate manpower also, trained manpower, and like acquired all necessary equipments, like personal protective equipment and other equipments. Now it is going to like buy three like ultra modern equipment machineries for COVID-19 testing. So like this lockdown period gave it enough time to build its own infrastructure, which are not actually infrastructure for this situation only, but they are all going to be long-term healthcare infrastructure, or like long-term infrastructure to deal with similar situations. Now yesterday the migrant laborers from from Gujarat, from Surat, actually over 2,000 migrant laborers to Odisha. And the chief minister, chief minister made a special appeal to people, welcoming those migrant laborers to the state, whereas many other states deny to, like bring those migrant laborers to their own states. Odisha chief minister welcomed these migrant laborers and appealed the people that yes, if they come, maybe the number will increase, positive cases will increase, and but still there is no threat. We can handle it only if we get enough cooperation from the public. If the family members will report to the government, if all the migrant laborers are going to register themselves, with the state government and its machinery, then maybe the number will increase, but we can still control it. So this is, not to be panic. He appealed the people not to be panic, but but to be confident that we can still deal with the situation even after welcoming the migrant laborers into the state. So there are some issues at micro level, at community level, some issues are there, but this way the state government has handled the situation. But again, this is an alert to not only to Odisha, to India, because we have been, expert scientists have been saying that these such kind of situations are going to be frequent in future, going to be more frequent in future, maybe more powerful as well. We have to deal with them. So this is an alert. We have to enhance our preparedness. We have to create infrastructure and all other facilities to face a similar situation, even more critical situation like and that of the COVID-19. But Odisha has definitely set a model, though other states like Kerala have dealt with the situation successfully. But the way, in a shorter time, the way Odisha dealt with the situation definitely makes it a model for others to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahapatra, for outlining your perspective on the entire situation. Odisha has been a remarkable example how to deal with the situation. We have time for a couple of questions, and let's start with the first one, and this is addressed to both Dr. Tare and Dr. Sharma. ICMR a couple of days back said that 80% of the cases are asymptomatic, which are turning positive, coronavirus positive, but there are no symptoms. How significant is that, and how dangerous is that? Because that is where the real danger of community spread lies. First, Dr. Tare, and then Dr. Sharma, please.
Really, sir, asymptomatic cases are really dangerous because they don't have any symptoms, signs, and they wander here and there, and they really don't know anybody, and they themselves feel themselves to be healthy, and they are really dangerous to others. So they should be tested thoroughly by diagnostic kit immediately. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Sharma.
Dhananjay, it's a very, very important point, and it's a very difficult situation, not just for the healthcare workers, but for the population at large. Dr. Tare rightly said that it's the dangerous situation. Somebody has a asymptomatic infection, but he doesn't know. So that's why he will go to the mall, he'll go to the market, he'll go to the hospital, he'll go to the bank, and he unknowingly he will be spreading. Now, unfortunately, this is a very strange virus which has not behaved the way earlier infections, whether bacterial or viral infections, behaved in terms of its spread, in terms of its lethality, and in terms of its spread. Its spread could be through the aerosols, as it has come to the notice. It can be by direct contact, which is the most important mode of spread. So what is important for us as a population and for healthcare workers specifically is important is number one, that what Dr. Palnitkar also explained, the social distancing. Now, the norms will have to be changed in this country, that we cannot crowd, we cannot just touch the other person without a reason. We have to have a certain distance when we are having a normal conversation, normal communication. Now, that is one thing which will change a lot. Various other things will change at the government level and at the bigger level, at the infrastructure level. But from the individual point of view, I'll say that social distancing will make a lot of difference. The which will remain, healthcare workers, which will remain at a high risk for a very long time, till the time almost 70-80% population is vaccinated. Now, you see that this virus has been much against what other viruses have happened, like Ebola. It was in a small part of the Africa. And because the spread of people were not allowed to go out, so it did not spread to the world. But here, this virus spread to the whole world, so whole population. Even when the lockdown is over, lockdown is only for the temporary measure to reduce the spread. But it will not mean that when the lockdown is opened, that the infectivity will stop. It will remain, and it will remain for a long time. So what is important is that people should understand that the value of your own resistance, your own health, and especially I will say for the healthcare workers themselves, because they don't look after their own health. They sometimes are not able to look after the various important points like washing the hands well, the availability of sterilium or other alcohol products, which is very important. Every patient that I see we will have to use the sterilium when the patient comes in on his hand and also on the doctor's hand. Now, these are the small things which will reduce the spread of the virus in the population and in the country. So it's a long fight. It will not end just with the lockdown being over. I think all panelists will agree with this.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. The next question, and which is open to all the panelists, and this has come from Dr. Archana Patankar, and she's saying that we need to keep it in mind that stopping economic activities stops flow of funds to the health sector. So it will be great if the panelists can outline what can be done to improve the response of health sector and communities in future. Let me add to it that we are looking at lockdown 3 in 3 days of in 3 days from now. So is lockdown the solution, or what else can be the solution? Anybody?
Yeah, I think I'll take this question.
Please, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, she referred, to the economy, as such, and most of, the speaker dealt, with the manufacturing required, to, at the various levels. And from that point of view, I think, this manufacturing of, different solutions, in the health sector, similarly, different products, which can be made locally, which can strengthen, in fact, the local economy. And this factor has to be looked, when sort of this lockdown, is over, and when we start looking, sort of a livelihood issue. At the same time, I think this issue also can, then they both can actually sort of go hand in hand, and then think, how this can be looked into. Similarly, in fact, when she referred, I think the local governments, in fact, if we see the whole scenario, and in fact, I'm saying from the Mumbai, that local government, municipal corporation, in fact, it has to play a major role. It may be health sector, it may be, sort of the sanitation, it may be, sort of the waste management. I think they have to play, major role. And if you take, this all sectors, there is a lot, again, sort of the opportunities, for sort of developing the different skills, which ultimately, in fact, can support also local economy.
Dhananjay, if I can.
Yeah, Dr. Sharma, please.
Interestingly, the economy will be affected in the short run for sure. When I discussed with colleagues, when I discuss with various people who are into the big businesses, they all are worried, and rightly so, because the economy has taken a very severe impact. But I foresee that in time to come, the way the government is thinking positively towards the positivity, things will change. A lot of manufacturing which was happening in China may shift to India if we use this opportunity in the right way. Imagine that I have been to China several times for many years. I've been the teaching faculty in China 20 years back, and at that time the infrastructure of China was very good, but the soft skills were not as good, and they have worked hard to improve the soft skills in this time. Now, India already has the soft skills. They just have to be improved a little bit. The government looks at it at the infrastructure, and what Dr. Panitkar rightly said, that so many manufacturing can happen, like the PPEs, ventilators, masks. These are not big things. Indians are very much capable of doing all this. At this time, if the government supports the population, believes on its own population, provides the right infrastructure, provides the right policies to protect the businesses, and allow the business in the right way, I'm sure that things will change, and the economy that we are seeing in the short run being affected badly will be a somersault, and never know that 10 years down the line, India becomes one of the very powerful countries suddenly. We have to realize that.
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah,
Sharma.
so
Yeah,
that
I have a point to make actually.
So I'll, Mr. Mahapatra, I'll come to you. Just give me a minute. This is a this is a
Okay, no
real,
issue.
real concern. A lot of people are asking this question, and either Dr. Sharma and or Dr. Tare, both of you can respond to this. That the mutation of the virus is creating problem in treatment and learning about the virus as well. And how is it affecting in making standard procedure for COVID-19 patients? How things are being made difficult by this mutation? Dr. Sharma, Dr. Tare.
It will make it very difficult. The mutation will happen, and if we see our past experience, the mutation is, say, for example, tuberculosis. At one time, the tubercular bacteria was very sensitive to the tubercular medicines, but today you have many cases of multi-drug resistant and multi-bacterial infections in tuberculosis cases. So the strains have been changing. The malaria, the strains have been changing. That's how you have the outbursts suddenly year after year. So the virus will behave the same way. It will have mutations. It will have many mutations. What is important is, from the medical point of view, is to follow the thing that we just discussed by myself and various other learned panelists, and also that we keep improving, keep testing, keep our research on this difficult virus, because this is not behaving in the typical way like the other viruses have behaved. So, for example, the influenza virus, the HIV virus, it is a little different than all those viruses which we have dealt with. It is more difficult to deal with, but I'm sure that even if the mutations keep happening, the medical fraternity will ultimately have the win over it. For sure, the vaccine will come very soon. The people will be vaccinated. It will be reasonably costing, and I'm sure that once the 80%, 70% population is vaccinated, like for polio, now we don't see polio. 20 years down the line, we saw a huge number of polio patients. So same will happen with this virus also, and I'm very sure about it. Dr. Tare.
Yeah, Dr. Tare, would you like to add to it? Hello, Dr. Tare, can you hear me?
Due to some technical issues, Dr. Tare have gone now.
Okay. Mr. Basudev Mahapatra, you wanted to make a point quickly, please?
Yeah, I was actually talking about that question on economic aspect. The economy is badly hit during this pandemic, and anyway, any natural disaster, like during last Fani cyclone, Odisha had incurred a economic loss of more than 24,000 crores. So this time also during this COVID-19, because of the lockdown, because everything, all economic activities came to a halt. So there was a huge loss. So now this is also an alert to the government at the center as well as at the states to think of parallel economies, like economic activities, parallel economic activities. One is that like industrial economy. The other one is that the traditional economic pattern, like with cottage industries, with agricultural activities, and like rural artisans, artisans, and like this such activities, traditional like artisanship activities, you can say. The government has to focus on that as well, and both the economies should go parallelly actually. So there will be no problem when such a pandemic like situation comes, and the economic activities will not come to a halt completely. The second thing is like, because our discussion is mainly focused on cities. Cities are worst victims of any either natural disaster or any health disaster like this. So because we cities depend for everything, cities depend on villages, or everything comes to cities from outside. So city survives on things from outside actually. So in such a situation, when all activities are like come to a halt, cities get worse affected. Second thing is like, if you see, I am just citing the case of Bhubaneswar, that becomes a heat island during summer, like is more vulnerable to extreme weathers, like extreme rainy days, extreme hot days, extreme heat, like and city becomes a heat island also. Like now the wet bulb temperature, that also becomes a bigger threat to city dwellers. And like, you must remember this 1998 like wet bulb temperature killed thousands of people in the city because of sunstroke. So like, cities are already vulnerable to climatic vagaries, to health issues related to climate, extreme weather situations, extreme weather days. And when such pandemics again come, which also are many experts say link these pandemics to climatic issues as well. So cities have to like build up stronger resilience to face such situations. And this very important for cities, city administration, city civic bodies, and civil societies to like preparedness to face such situations. Thank you.
Thank you,
Anandaji,
Mr.
one
Mahapatra.
thing, if I can add here, one thing, that
Yeah,
it is
please.
a time of preparedness. It is a time when the country and the population should prepare itself for the time to come, for better economy, better systems, better social distancing, better behavior, better resistance of the human body itself. Now, it is a time of preparation. So people should not worry so much about the economy at this time, because in future it will be better. As Dr. Mr. Mohapatra rightly said, the Odisha has seen so many of such calamities, but it has always come up very well in the scheme of things.
Thank you. I'd like to. We are completely running out of time, but still we can take 2 questions from the participants. You can raise your hands, identify yourself, and ask the question to any panelist. But before we do that, Dr. Sharma, very briefly, there is a question that has come, and please answer it very briefly. That we discussed about seeming inadequacy of our health infrastructure in terms of public spending on health as percentage of GDP. However, very advanced countries, including those of Europe and the USA, in spite of high spending, seem to have suffered greatly in terms of infections and mortality. How can we explain this?
This can be explained in briefly on 2 points. Number one, the population itself. We never know that our population, one part of population that they accepted the lockdown reasonably well, and such a large number of people, more than 1 billion people, remained at home for such a long time. So that is one part. The other part could be that study with time is the local resistance of the local population. And thirdly, the medical fraternity definitely helped, and the government did the proactive action, whether on the country level by the Honorable Prime Minister, or various state level like Goa, like Odisha, and so many other states like UP. So I think all these factors together worked very well in favor of the impact of this difficult problem, this damaging virus has been less on our country. And I think this is what could be the reason.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sharma. Now we have a couple of questions from the participants. Pratik, can you put them up?
Yes, the first participant, his ID is Galaxy A50. He can ask the question. Please introduce yourself. We cannot hear you. Please speak clearly. I think we should move to the another participant, Mr. Vijay Kumar. He wants to ask some question to the panelist. Mr. Vijay Kumar, over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question for Dr. Rajiv Sharma of Delhi. See, we are talking of health preparedness and the medical infrastructure in terms of our allopathic medicine systems. But India has a unique background in the world in terms of its alternate medical systems like Ayurveda or many other systems. And some of these home remedies already people are trying out in many contexts. What is the role? Is there really a role for this, traditional medical systems in this situation? And how do we leverage that, if at all there is?
Thank you. It's a very important question. Like we see I'll give you the example of two countries. The China, they do believe a lot on their own system, and they promote their local Chinese medicine also. In our country, Ayurveda has been doing a great job for many years before the medical science, the allopathic science took over this important subject. I think the basic advantage will be of our other than allopathic medical sciences is that the improving the resistance of the human body. And I think in time to come, the most important issue will be the resistance of the individual, because the virus will remain in the
Hello, have we lost? Okay,
hospital only, and that's why infection from hospital. But tomorrow the same thing will happen with malls. The same thing will happen with the restaurants. So it is very right that the vaccination will remain as important as it has been polio. The individual care of distancing and the other behavior is very important. And thirdly, our allied branches like Ayurvedic parts, like the yoga, that also is a very good method. Now, these will have a huge impact on the population and should be respected and should be supported.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. So with that, we will conclude this webinar. I'm sure it was quite helpful in understanding the situation. How should we look at the future? How do we fix the problems, infrastructural, economical, while dealing with a health crisis, so that as and when, hopefully not, but it's quite possible that in future we might see another epidemic or a pandemic, and we should be prepared to deal with that. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Sharma,
you.
thank you, Dr. Tare, thank you, Dr. Sneha Parlitkar,
Thank you.
Mr. Vasudev
Thank you.
Mahapatra, Ravi Ranjan Guru. Thank you
Thank
all.
you. Thank
See
you,
you
sir.
all. See you
you.
all next Thursday, same time at 11 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.